My stepsister has her eyes on my husband, but she doesn't know that he is a passionate lover. Once she tried to seduce him by hugging him from behind. But he directly broke her arm and warned her, if you touch me again, it won't just be your arm. However, she didn't give up. And did something to get my husband. That day still replays in my mind like a strange, feverish dream, one that started with laughter and ended with a scream. It was a quiet Saturday morning. I was in the kitchen, making coffee, when I heard a muffled thud from the living room. Then came Lily's voice, a startled cry, sharp enough to make me drop the spoon in my hand. When I ran out, she was on the floor, clutching her wrist, her silk robe slipping off her shoulder. Nathan stood above her, his jaw tight, eyes dark with fury. What did you do? I gasped. He didn't look at me. His voice was calm, frighteningly calm. She thought it'd be funny to sneak up on me. Lily's face twisted in pain. I was just joking. I didn't mean, don't, Nathan snapped. His tone was low, almost a growl. You crossed a line, Lily. And next time, it won't end with just your arm. The room went silent except for her quiet sobs. My pulse thundered in my ears. I didn't know whether to be angry, shocked, or relieved, because deep down, I'd seen this coming. Lily had always been too close. The way she looked at him when she thought I wasn't watching. The way her voice softened around him, her laughter stretching too long at his jokes. I had tried to ignore it, to believe that she was just immature, craving attention like she always did. But that morning, when she stood there half-dressed, pretending it was a joke, I knew it wasn't innocent anymore. Nathan turned to me, his expression softening. She'll be fine, he said quietly. But she needed to understand that there are boundaries in this house. He walked past me, leaving me standing there in the uneasy silence. Lily kept crying softly, staring at him with something between fear and obsession. That was the moment I realized, breaking her arm wouldn't break her obsession. She had already decided she wanted my husband. And she wasn't going to stop, no matter the cost. Growing up, I learned early what it meant to be invisible. My mother never said it outright, but her eyes always told the story. Lily was the golden child, and I was the shadow. Lily was born 2 years after my father passed away, and Mom remarried soon after. Her new husband's family had money, and suddenly our lives changed, but only for her. I was the reminder of a past Mom wanted to forget, while Lily was her perfect new beginning. When we were kids, she got everything shiny and new, the best clothes, private tutors, endless praise. I got the leftovers. You're stronger, Claire, Mom would say when I asked why. Lily's sensitive. She needs more care. What she really meant was, you can handle being unloved. By the time I was 17, I had learned to rely on myself. I worked part-time, saved for college, built a portfolio that could earn me a design scholarship abroad, my dream since I was a child. I poured every ounce of energy into that portfolio, and then Lily stole it. She copied my architectural sketches, submitted them under her name, and won the very scholarship I'd spent years preparing for. I found out weeks later, when the congratulatory letter came addressed to her. When I confronted Mom, she sighed and said, "Oh, Claire, don't make this ugly. You'll have other chances. Lily just needed this one more." That was the first time I realized blood didn't always mean family. Years later, when I met Nathan, it was during a design showcase. He was confident, focused, the kind of man who noticed the quiet details others missed. For the first time, someone looked at me and saw me. He admired my work, not Lily's name. When I brought him home, Mom smiled sweetly, until Lily walked in. I still remember her words, casual but cutting. "Claire, dear, don't you think Nathan and Lily would make a better match? They just look right together." The room froze. But Nathan didn't even blink. He reached for my hand, kissed it softly, and said, "Actually, I think Claire is exactly my kind of perfect." Mom looked offended. Lily's smile faltered. And in that moment, a new war began, one that had nothing to do with childhood rivalry, and everything to do with envy, because from that day on, Lily stopped pretending to be my sister. She started acting like my enemy. When Lily said she wanted to turn over a new leaf, I didn't believe her. But when she told me she had applied to Nathan's company, I felt something twist inside me, a mix of disbelief and unease. She said it so casually over dinner, twirling her fork. "Nathan's firm is one of the best in Boston." I thought, why not learn from the best? And he's family, right? Family. The word tasted bitter. Nathan looked up from his plate, his expression unreadable. "If you're qualified, apply through the proper channels." She smiled like she'd won something. "Of course, brother-in-law." The way she said it, too soft, too playful, made my stomach tighten. A week later, she was hired. Nathan told me he'd reviewed her application himself, that she met the minimum requirements. "We'll see how she does," he said simply. When she arrived at the office, she made sure everyone noticed. She wore a pastel suit, smiled at everyone in sight, and lingered just a second too long whenever she spoke to Nathan. She called him brother-in-law every chance she got, her voice dripping with sugar. "Mr. Hale," he would correct her evenly, every time. But she never seemed to take the hint. I began to hear small things, whispers from colleagues who didn't know I was Nathan's wife. They said Lily was charming but strange, that she mentioned knowing Nathan very well, and that she'd hinted they used to be close. One afternoon, Julia from HR pulled me aside after a team lunch. "I shouldn't tell you this," she said carefully, "but Lily's been saying she and Nathan dated before you came along. People are starting to wonder." My chest went cold when I told Nathan that evening. He didn't look surprised. He just sighed, leaning back in his chair. "Let her talk," he said. I frowned. "You're not going to say anything?" His gaze met mine, calm, steady, impossible to read. "Not yet." I wanted to ask what he meant, but something in his tone stopped me. In the following days, Lily seemed to grow bolder. She laughed louder in meetings, lingered longer in Nathan's office, and told anyone who would listen how supportive he was. Nathan never reacted. He simply watched, polite and silent, every expression carefully measured. I couldn't tell what he was thinking, or what, exactly, he was waiting for. A week later, Nathan announced a new project at the firm, an ambitious proposal for a modern art pavilion. Everyone buzzed with excitement. It was the kind of project that could define someone's career. And, to everyone's surprise, Nathan handed it to Lily. "I want you to lead this one," he said in front of the entire team. "It's time you prove what you can do." Lily beamed, her cheeks flushed with pride. "Thank you, Mr. Hale. I won't disappoint you." I was sitting in the corner of the room that day, reviewing design drafts. When our eyes met, I couldn't read Nathan's expression. His face was calm, his tone professional, but something about it felt deliberate. For 2 weeks, Lily walked around the office as if she were the queen of the firm. She strutted through the halls with folders clutched to her chest, barking instructions at interns and bragging that Nathan trusted her vision. But when I accidentally caught a glimpse of her drafts on the printer one evening, I felt an odd chill. The drawings were inconsistent, disconnected, like she had no idea what the project was about. The presentation day came. Everyone gathered in the conference room, the atmosphere charged. Lily stood at the front with her slides ready, confidence radiating from every word, but as she spoke, it became painfully clear that she didn't understand the concept. The data didn't align. The visuals contradicted the structure. She stumbled over terminology she should have known. Nathan's face remained neutral, his hands folded in front of him. At one point, Julia whispered to me, "This doesn't make sense. This is Nathan's original framework, but she's twisting it." 10 minutes later, Lily froze mid-sentence. Someone had asked a question she couldn't answer, about structural load and design logic. She stammered, flipping through her notes, her voice trembling. Finally, Nathan stood. "That's enough," he said quietly. The room went silent. He looked at her, then turned toward the clients. "Apologies, everyone. It seems there's been a misunderstanding. Let me have my wife clarify." My heart skipped a beat. "My wife." I stood and explained the real structure, the material intent, the artistic message, everything Lily had missed. The tension in the room dissolved as the clients nodded, impressed. When it was over, Lily whispered, "Please, Nathan, I can fix this." He looked at her with eyes cold as steel. "You're done here." That night, my mother called, furious, accusing me of cruelty, of humiliating poor Lily. I listened quietly, holding the phone, until Nathan gently took it from my hand. "Let me handle this," he said, voice calm, certain. And for the first time, I felt like the past was finally shifting, in my favor. The office felt unusually quiet that week. Lily had been coming in early, staying late, whispering to herself in her cubicle as if something huge was about to happen. Nathan didn't say much about it, but I noticed how often his assistant, Camille, stopped by Lily's desk, always polite, always watching. One night, Nathan came home later than usual. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, his expression unreadable. "Everything okay?" I asked. He nodded. "Just some office housekeeping." I didn't ask more. I'd learned by now that Nathan never spoke until he had all the facts. The next morning, when I arrived at the firm for a scheduled meeting, the air was thick with tension. Every employee was already in the conference room, whispering. Even my mother was there, sitting near the back, arms crossed, expression sharp. Nathan entered, carrying his tablet. His tone was even. "Before we begin, there's something we need to address." He turned to the screen on the wall. The lights dimmed. The first few seconds were grainy, footage from the security camera in the design department. The timestamp read 11:47 p.m. Lily appeared on the screen. She slipped into the office, glanced around, then connected a USB drive to one of the computers. Her movements were quick but nervous. Within minutes, folders began flashing open on the monitor. She copied files, drafts, data, blueprints, then the video froze on her face. The room fell silent. Someone whispered, "That's the pavilion project." Lily shot up from her seat. That's not what it looks like. I was just backing up the files. Camille stepped forward, calm and professional. We checked the access logs. Those weren't backups. They were downloads. You tried to send them to your personal email. Lily turned to my mother. Mom, please. They're twisting it. Before my mother could speak, Nathan gestured for me. Claire, you might want to show them something. I opened my folder and laid a copy of an old portfolio on the table, the one from years ago. These are my university designs. The ones Lily submitted under her name. My mother's lips parted. That's not, a familiar voice interrupted from the doorway. It is. It was Grandma Ruth, our step-grandmother, frail but dignified, holding a rolled-up sketch tube. She opened it and revealed the original drawings. With my signature still intact, the room went still. Lily's face drained of color. My mother sank back in her chair, unable to speak. For the first time in years, the truth stood alone, undeniable, unshakable, and finally mine. The aftermath came quietly, like the air after a storm, heavy, but clear. Nathan moved quickly. The morning after the confrontation, he compiled every document, timestamp, and recording into a single report and sent it to the university that had awarded Lily her degree. There was no anger in his actions, only precision. They'll know what to do with it, he said simply. A week later, the call came from Boston's Arts Council. They had reviewed our joint proposal, the same pavilion concept Lily had tried to steal, and wanted us to lead the design for the new Boston Art Center. It felt surreal, like a door reopening after years of being locked. When the announcement was published, the industry response was immediate. Our firm was praised for its innovation and transparency. Lily, on the other hand, was blacklisted. No one wanted to work with her. My mother, who had always cared more about appearances than people, stopped answering messages altogether. Then the rumors started. A post appeared online, claiming Nathan had taken advantage of Lily while she was his employee. The wording was sharp, almost believable. Within hours, the company's PR department received requests for comment. Nathan didn't flinch. He gathered the team, released the office footage, the same evidence that showed Lily stealing files. The timeline was irrefutable. The accusation dissolved before it could take shape. That night, I found Nathan in his study, staring at the quiet city through the window. I walked up and rested my hand on his shoulder. You okay? He nodded, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. She can't hurt us anymore. For the first time, I believed him. A few days later, I received a letter from a familiar name, my father's. We hadn't spoken in over a decade. He divorced my mother long ago and moved to Chicago. The letter was short, written in shaky pen strokes. I saw the news. I'm proud of you. I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. We met for coffee a week later. His hair was gray now, his hands trembling as he reached for mine. There were no grand speeches, just a quiet apology that mended something inside me I hadn't realized was still broken. When I left that cafe, the city air felt different, lighter, warmer. For once, I wasn't looking back. 6 months later, an official letter arrived at our office, stamped and sealed with the emblem of the Massachusetts School of Design. Nathan opened it first, scanning quickly before handing it to me. They revoked it, he said. I read the words myself just to be sure. The university had officially withdrawn Lily's degree after reviewing the evidence of plagiarism and academic misconduct. Her name would be struck from the alumni register. It was over, not in the dramatic, cinematic way people imagine justice, but in a quiet, permanent way that leaves no room for denial. The news spread fast through the design community. Firms withdrew their partnerships, clients canceled her projects. My mother tried to defend her publicly at first, but her statements only drew ridicule. Eventually, both of them disappeared from social events entirely. Meanwhile, the Boston Art Center, our project, was completed. It stood along the river, a glass and steel structure that shimmered with morning light. For months, we had worked day and night, sketching, adjusting, refining every detail. It wasn't just architecture, it was a message. The opening ceremony drew hundreds of people. Nathan and I stood at the front, hands intertwined as reporters and city officials filled the space. It was beautiful, almost unreal. The same dream I'd once believed was stolen from me now towering in front of my eyes. Halfway through the ceremony, I caught a glimpse of 2 figures near the entrance. My mother and Lily. Their faces were pale, eyes restless, scanning the crowd. They hadn't been invited, but somehow managed to slip in. When the security staff approached, my mother protested, voice trembling. I'm her mother, she said, pointing toward me. But the guard only shook his head, escorting them gently out of the hall. I watched them go, not out of triumph, but out of closure. For the first time, seeing them leave didn't hurt. It just ended. As the mayor stepped onto the stage to congratulate us, Nathan leaned close and whispered, "You did it." I smiled, my gaze still fixed on the glowing glass walls around us. Revenge was never the goal, I said softly. It was about reclaiming myself. And for the first time, those words felt true because the greatest victory wasn't proving them wrong. It was finally being free enough not to care anymore.